Hello friends, today I'm going to show you how to make Koya from our BT21 line friends, and it's gonna be sleeping. Of course, yet again I cropped this image. The original image is a lot wider. He has a longer body because he's sleeping. Super cute, and I really wanted to make this one, and I wanted him to match my rest of my tapestries. Apologize for that. I do have my tapestries being 33 by 37, so I just cropped the image. I didn't move squares around because for other friends we had to actually move the squares around and kind of move the overall image of our little friend, and I didn't want to do that with this one because it's a little too complicated. As you see, he has like this cheek right here that's like pushed up like when we sleep, and that's super cute, and it's a lot. If there is anything, and maybe I would have liked a little separation between the eye, because these are the eyes and the little cheek, but that's fine. I don't really mind it. And also I'm changing the background. I know on my camera it probably doesn't show, but it's a very light purple. I'm going to change it to pink, and that's probably going to be it for modifications for this pattern. Of course, you can always make it your own, and we're gonna get started. So for my tapestries, we're going to chain 33. And we're going to work onto the back side of our chains. We're going to turn our chains, and we're going to work onto these loops right here. We're going to skip the very first loop because this stitch corresponds to this stitch, and this stitch always counts as one. So we're going to insert our hook onto that loop. We're going to yarn over and pull. Again, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, and pull. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm using a longer crochet hook. This is called a Tunisian crochet hook. If by any chance you do not own a Tunisian crochet hook, you can always get creative with your regular crochet hook. You can attach a little piece of yarn. You can tape it to the inside of your hook, and it doesn't have to be like a firm surface. Or if you would like it to be a firm surface, you can tape a piece of pencil or like something like a wooden dowel to the end of your regular crochet hook, so you can have like a straight line. But nonetheless, I think you can get away with using your regular crochet hook, and we're going to keep doing this motion all the way down our row. So then our little hook should look just like this, and this is one of the only reasons why I actually work with Tunisian simple stitch, because if I didn't mention it at the beginning, we're going to use the Tunisian simple stitch because it is the only acceptable stitch right now to use on tapestries, because we're going to go forwards and backwards within one row. So we're not going to turn our work like with the regular crochet. We're just going to work onto always the front side of your project, which is always fun because I can never figure out while turning my work with regular crochet tapestries. Anyway, so we're going to chain 1 onto the very last stitch, and this is going to be our return pass. We're going to grab our yarn and pull through 2 of our stitches, and we're going to pull through pairs all the way down our row. Actually, there's going to be a little surprise at the end of her row for the end of her stitch, but stay tuned for that. I'll teach you how to change from one color to the next. And your little row should be looking just like this. It really doesn't matter if you went all the way down. We're just going to undo that, because if we count this very first stitch as one and it's pink, and our very next row is black, well, how do we change that? I'll teach you right now. So we're going to undo that very last stitch, and it should be looking just like this. We should be having 2 stitches in our hook. Well, how do we change the color? We're gonna go and grab our little black yarn, and then instead of yarning over with our background color, which is in my case pink, we're gonna yarn over and pull through 2 of our stitches with the black stitch. And this way we ensure that our very first stitch of our next row is going to be black. And we're going to continue and do that black line for our very second row. And let me just count them because I don't know what number of black squares we have. We're gonna have 13 black stitches. So each square, if you count these squares, it corresponds to the number of stitches we're gonna have. And we're gonna do our repeat, or our actual Tunisian stitch. This was just our foundation, and we're gonna do our repeat. Also, FYI, so you can remember, this is a cropped image. I will provide the full image so you can crop it, or you can actually do the full image. But if you're cropping it just like I am, you're probably gonna have to do this technique where you start with your black, or I believe that if you continue on with the pattern, you're not gonna have to do that. But it, yet again, is simple. If you want to introduce a color, you're just going to insert your stitch. This is going to be a repeat for the rest of our project, so do pay attention. We're just going to insert our hook onto the front loop of our previous row only. So we're going to insert our hook onto that stitch, which is going to be our second stitch. We're gonna yarn over and pull. So remember, it's going to be 13 black stitches if you're following me. If by any chance you actually get the courage to follow the original pattern, which is a lot bigger than this one, I'll show you how to introduce a new color. I'm going to use this blue one. So imagine this is my background. Imagine this is a pink. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your new color, and you're going to insert your hook onto that stitch where you want your new color to appear, and we're just going to yarn over with your new color. Easy peasy, right? And you just continue to yarn over with that color until you do a color switch, which is easy peasy. You just bring up your background up and you continue to yarn over with your new color. So this is just an example. Of course, I'm not going to use the blue one, and I'm just going to continue with my black. So now we're going to do this middle part between the two little hands, the two sleeping hands. And for that, I need my background color. My background color ended up being all the way over here, which is fine. I'm just going to grab my background and pull it all the way from over here. And we're just going to insert it onto the front loop only, remember, and pull it up. Making sure that this piece of back yarn, if you're doing your back and forth with your background just like I am, is nice and loose, so you don't create like unnecessary tension. And we're going to do that for 5 stitches. So our 5 background stitches, 5, and then we're going to do this little part of the next hand. So it's going to be 4 black stitches. We're gonna drop our background. Make sure it's not too tangled on the back. We're gonna grab our background, our black. We're gonna insert our hook and pull. Always making sure that the back loop is nice and loose. We're gonna do this for 4 stitches. And then the rest of our row is going to be background, so we're going to drop our black and pick up our pink. Again, making sure this piece of yarn is nice and loose on the back. And then for our return pass, easy peasy, we're going to chain 1 onto the very last stitch, and then we're gonna grab our yarn and pull through 2 of our stitches. I'm gonna pull through 2, until we reach this point right here. So whenever you have 2 different color stitches in your hook, just like this one, the first stitch and then the second stitch, if the second stitch is a different color, you're going to use that second color stitch for pulling through 2. We're gonna grab our black, pull through that pink, and pull through that very first black stitch, and we're going to continue to pull through 2. The rule applies, but since we have the same color stitch, we're going to use that same black yarn until we reach this point right here, until we reach our color change. So 2 different color stitches means that we're going to use that second color stitch. So we drop our black, pick up our pink, and we pull. Also making sure that this back pieces of yarn are nice and loose, don't forget that. And we're going to continue and pull through 2 until our very next color change. Grabbing our black, pulling through, and then all the way down our row. Now, of course, as I mentioned before, we're doing our very third row. I'm actually just going to show you the initial of how to do it again, because our third row starts with a different color if you're following my cropped pattern. So we're just going to do what we did before. So we're just going to, instead of pulling, I know the golden rule is if you have the same color stitches in your hook, you pull through that same color, right? But since we want our very first stitch to start with the color that we want, we're just going to pull through that blue color. And we just continue to do the same thing that we've been doing, just pulling through the first loop of your previous row. And it should be looking like this. And this is actually all you need to know for this particular pattern, especially if you're following my crop pattern. I am in fact going to leave somewhere in this screen the full pattern, which is just a little bit slightly bigger than this one, so you can crop it and do whatever you want. Of course, again, my pattern is 33 by 37. And down below in the description, I'll leave the Pinterest pin if you are interested in that. This Pinterest is where I find all of my patterns. You can just type whatever you're looking for and then pixel art or alpha pattern, and you'll get a nice little grid of whatever you're looking for. Of course, I do apologize that it's not a full tutorial, but the full tutorials do take a long time to make, and I do apologize for that. But needless to say, this is a very fun project to make, and I have been making this BT21 characters for the past, I don't know, like 2 weeks, and they're so fun and they're so easy, and you just don't get confused at all. Anyway, happy crocheting, and I'll leave you with a time lapse of how I make this beautiful tapestry.